Hi, everybody. Peter Greenberg here. Time for another global travel update for this last Thursday of September 2022. So much news to report before we ever get to your comments and questions. Obviously, our focus on Florida, Southwest Florida start, and then as it moves up to the central part of the state, Hurricane Ian, devastating damage, destruction, infrastructure problems as well, bridges cut off, airports closed, roads underwater, under significant water with the storm surge, and in some cases, the water disappearing as it did in Tampa, but it will come back. We've seen a number of airports close. Obviously, Fort Myers is closed, Orlando shut down, Tampa shut down, Sarasota shut down, Fort Lauderdale still operating, Miami still operating, but the airlines preemptively got all of their planes out. Obviously, if your plane is going to be on the ground, it was going to be destroyed. They're out. The real problem, of course, now is how quickly can they get back? It's going to be a while. Some airports really sustained some damage. And of course, the roads and the infrastructure leading to those airports also compromised. Normally, when you have an airline shutting down an operation, for every 12 hours you're shut down, it takes about 36 hours to get back on track, to get your crews back into sequence, your planes back into the cycle and on schedule. This won't happen that way because you have a double whammy. You have the airport shutting down and the airline shutting down. So for every 12 hours, it could be 72 hours to get back on track. So today being the 29th of September, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we're going to be looking at the middle of October to the, maybe October 10th, 11th before they come back. 3,500 planes were canceled. But there's another issue here. It's not the number of flights that were canceled. It's the geography. In a given day, under normal schedules, about 33% of the entire airplane fleet out there either flies to or through Florida. So you can imagine the ripple effect on the schedule, east to west and north to south. So check with your airlines. Almost every airline that I know is issuing waivers. Let me explain what that means. It allows you to rebook your flight without cancellation fees or rebooking fees or ticket change fees. However, in normal circumstances, the airlines would give you about 2 weeks. Many airlines that I talk to are saying, as long as you rebook by October 8th, let's be real, that's not realistic. First of all, many people had distinct plans that can't be repeated. They deserve a refund. For everybody else who wants to rebook, they may be postponed on their trip for 2 to 3 months. So we'll see how the airlines deal with this as we get closer to October 8th. Now, I want to give you an idea of really what we're talking about here. I was recently in Fort Myers with my camera crew doing a segment for our show, The Travel Detective. It was a great show. It's supposed to air later this year. Now, of course, we have a problem because everything we shot is underwater, and almost everything. And we're going to go back. The folks in Fort Myers don't know this yet, but the key is the recovery now as they build it back up. And it's changed the direction of the story. It's changed the story. But we're going to go back out there and help them at a moment where they need it the most. So for my friends in Fort Myers, we haven't been able to communicate with you. But if you're watching now, know that we will be talking soon and we will be coming back down. Now, a moment of levity here. I got to give you one. It is Throwback Thursday time. Let me set the stage for you. It was 2005. I was then at the Today Show on NBC. There was massive storm damage and flooding in New Jersey. And they sent out a correspondent, Michelle Kaczynski, to cover the flooding. When she got there, however, interesting story. They made sure they went out and NBC went out and bought a canoe and a paddle to put her in it so that she'd be reporting from the canoe. Good visual, right? One small problem. By the time she got there, the water was less than knee deep, but they insisted she do it from the canoe, and watch what happens.
Morning. Well, obviously we're getting a nice break from the rain, but not the flooding. This is essentially now a part of the Passaic River in this neighborhood. It rushed in yesterday through the streets, and it's really...
Just stop the tape. What a humiliating moment. And of course, it will always be remembered. And the NBC producer insisted, we paid money for this canoe, you're getting in the canoe. Well, they paid the price for that when the two guys walked by. I just thought I would share that with you. All right, some other news to report today. If you're in the buyer's market mood, the British pound continues to drop. It got down to as low as $1.03. Then it bounced back to like $1.07. It's hovering there now. What a buyer's market opportunity for those of you who want to go Christmas shopping in the United Kingdom now. That's one thing. And the other thing, speaking of money, believe it or not, you know, we talk about cruise ships all the time and cruise ship fares. Then there are the ancillary fees or the opportunities to buy promotional packages. You may have heard, or you may have actually bought one of these yourself on cruises, the drinks packages. So you're not spending $3 for a Coke every time you go to the bar or more. One cruise line, Norwegian, now has a drinks package. I'm not making this up, guys. $128 a day, unlimited, right? It's enough to make you stop drinking. Our good friend Gene Sloan from The Points Guy reported this story, and he also did the math because it's not just $128 a day. There are mandatory tips. That brings it up to $165 a day. How much can you drink? And for a 7-day cruise, you will be spending $1,159 just for booze. And you might not even remember the cruise. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see who buys that package, or more importantly, who survives it. Now, one other thing, airfares are continuing to go down except for Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving fares are going through the roof. They're 23% more than they were in 2019 and a whopping 43% more than they were last year. So if you look at Thanksgiving the way I do, as an obligatory dysfunctional family get-together, you still want to go? Okay. But if you're going to do that, go the Friday before and come back the day after, on that Friday after Thanksgiving. You have the best chance of getting a lower airfare at that point. But if you leave on Wednesday and come back on Sunday, via con Dios, you are going to be spending a lot of money. So that's that point. Now, the rest of the airfares, they're coming down. That's the good news. Here's the not so good news. Hotel rates, they're going up, the highest in many cases that they've ever been. Why is that? It's because business travel is starting to come back. You know, in August, corporate travel bookings were up 73% over July. That's astounding. But between now and November 19th, they're up 6 times what they were just last year. And that's what's keeping those hotel rates high. Now, here's the irony. The only time between now and the end of the year you're going to get great hotel room rates is when the airfares are through the roof during Thanksgiving, when all your relatives are pushing all your emotional buttons at their house. So good idea. If you're going to go back for Thanksgiving, please do something to protect yourself. Get a hotel room. Okay. So that's that story. Now let's go to the screens and talk to everybody. Hold on one second. All right. Jew is saying greetings from Japan. We've got our friends in Tanzania on board. Donna's telling me something we already know. Travel is a mess right now. You got it. Okay, Arusha's weighing in. We've got Carol saying hi from London. And hello from Dar es Salaam. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, a lot of Tanzania friends today. By the way, our show is still playing on public television as well as Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. That's Tanzania, the Royal Tour. All right. Here we go. Donna says, I wish they wouldn't put these reporters at risk. Well, you know, let's go back many years ago to how Dan Rather started his career, reporting in a hurricane and almost getting blown away. You have to, it's a double-edged sword. You have to weigh the importance of putting somebody in the field to show you what's going on versus risking their life. And TV stations have been doing this since there have been TV stations. You know, I don't know whether you need somebody in the field to tell you that trees are down without just, hey, lock a camera down. Just do it as a voiceover. But they want to personalize the story. I get it. I've done that kind of reporting myself. I sort of understand it. I still question it. Okay, here we go. Peter saying, greetings from beautiful Madison. Just back at midnight from Rica. Oh, Casco Viejo in Panama City. Love Casco Viejo. They've got some, by the way, great breweries there now, artisanal breweries. But since you're in Madison, Wisconsin, remember what I said last week, that the Badgers were going to get their you-know-what's kicked? My God, was I giving you the understatement? The worst shellacking of a football team in Wisconsin history at the hands of Ohio State in Columbus. Woof. Woof. I can't even discuss it. Although I will be coming back to Madison in a couple of weeks, but I purposely timed it this time for when there won't be a home football game. I just don't want to be humiliated. Okay, here we go. Janine says, what city is best for a ski vacation in Colorado for novice skiers? Aspen, Vail, or Beaver Creek, or somewhere else? I'm going to give you somewhere else. You ready? Breckenridge. I like it better. And I also like Jackson Hole. That's not in Colorado, though. But Breckenridge, I'd check out. Also, Copper Canyon. Okay. Joy says, I'm going to Punta Cana from Philly October 11th. Will the hurricane affect our flights? Probably not. I'm assuming you're flying nonstop, and those flights are not going to be affected. Now, the Dominican Republic did get hit from the hurricane, but my understanding is those airports are open. So for the moment, at least, I think you'll be okay. Bridget says hi from Massachusetts. Zora says, good day. Thank you for your information. A $2,300 economy ticket to Santiago, way too much with American Airlines. Don't you know it? I told you. Claire says hi from San Diego. Raj is saying hello from Zanzibar. Well, we love Zanzibar. And if I could figure out a way to go there and buy those beautiful Arabic doors, I'd bring them back. Oh my God. So much to do there too. Okay. Gail says, we will be in NOLA after New Year's Eve. Any suggestions? Well, congratulations on going after New Year's Eve. The last place you want me to be, and the last place you want to be, is New Orleans for New Year's Eve. I can't think of anything less appealing than watching people throw up with their Go Cups on Bourbon Street. And that's exactly what happens. So go after New Year's Eve. But if you're going to go after New Year's Eve, go across the UEP Long Bridge to a cool little restaurant called Mosca's. Very cool place. Think of it as Italian Cajun. I won't even tell you anymore. Of course, you want to go to Mother's for a po' boy. You're going to go to Café Du Monde for the beignet. Bring a shirt that can get dirty because you're going to have powdered sugar all over it. But then you want to go to the Central Deli for the muffaletta. Again, wear an old shirt because you're going to be dripping. And then go out to Homa. Houma. Great food out there, especially if you like everything blackened. But I'm telling you, it's great. All right, here we go. Hello from Madrid. Hello, Antonio. Okay. Hello from Arlington, Virginia. Thank you, Pamela. Donna with a suggestion. Club Med is opening up a ski resort in Utah. All right. Okay. Why are there so many flights full to Europe with the war? Well, it has nothing to do with the war. That's Eastern Europe. Western Europe, with the power of the dollar against the euro, and now the power of the dollar against the British pound, it's a great time to go. Okay. Here we go. I'm looking here. More Tanzania friends. Hey, Willie says, hello from Atchison, Kansas. Let's not forget Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. Donna's answer about why the flights are full, because they cut back flights. Actually, they're adding flights to Europe. Every major U.S. airline is adding flights across the Atlantic right now. Okay, here we go. Oh, Patrick, who travels almost as much as I do. Greetings from Waikiki. Greetings right back to you. All right, let's scroll back up here. Now, one more thing. Remember, airfares, look, today's the 29th of September. In 2 days, we're now in the fourth quarter. And that's when fares start dropping. So take a deep breath. In some cases, you're going to see some dramatic changes. Southwest Airlines was advertising this morning for fares starting at $59, right? All the way through February of next year. So there's hope on that. Now, one more thing to talk about before we get to more questions, and that's the cruise lines. They're now starting to fill up. Remember, I told you a couple of weeks ago, there were 2,000 separate cruise itineraries that started at less than $100 a day. Well, They're going fast. So check it out. We've got some new cruise ships coming out, but that won't be until next year or the end of this year. And of course, the inaugural cruises are already sold out because everybody wants to be first on their block. But there'll be some excess capacity in the marketplace, but that'll start in mid-January to late January. So keep that in mind. One other housekeeping note, and that is if you're in the New York City area this coming Monday, just in about 3 days, I'll be giving the keynote speech at the legendary Explorers Club. That's Monday, October 3rd. So if you're around, you're invited. Just go to their website. The details are there, and I'll be glad to see you. That's Monday the 3rd, starting at 6 o'clock at the Explorers Club in New York City. Now, let's go to the photo of the week. There it is. We want to thank Megan Brown for doing that. And what she says is, after a 2.5 year separation due to the pandemic, our family was finally able to visit my husband in Japan. He's been there on assignment. There was no doubt a Shinkansen trip to tour Kyoto for a few days. We did it. And just before closing at the Golden Pavilion, I took this shot. What a magical day. The fact that her husband works at Disney doesn't explain why she said magical day. I can't imagine why, but great photo. Megan, congratulations for that photo. Let's go to some of the questions that you guys have sent in. Here's one from Jason. Do I foresee airlines scoring passengers like rideshare services in the future, or has this already begun and we don't even realize it? Well, let's get into that. In 2021, more than 6,000 cases of unruly, disruptive, or downright violent passengers. This year, the numbers are down, but they're still north of 2,000 cases. Some of you may have seen the video just last week of the guy on the flight from Los Cabos back to Los Angeles punching out the flight attendant. Now, he was then at the airport. He was arrested. He's still in jail. But I started to deconstruct those numbers, right? We're talking about 8,000 cases over the last 2 years. What happened to these people? Where did they go? How were those cases resolved? Were they arrested? Were they jailed? Did they go to trial? Were they convicted? Did they have to pay a fine? Were they banned from the airlines? And the numbers are not pretty. Here's the deal. Let's go back to those 6,000 cases. Of those 6,000 cases, only about 650 were referred for enforcement action. Of the 650, about 400 had enforcement action, but what kind of enforcement action was it? You may have seen the stories. The FAA proposed a fine of $20,000 or $9,000, or in one case, a fine was proposed of $81,000. Were those fines ever paid in full? They were not. Now, in some cases, passengers were forced to pay restitution to the airline for the cost of diverting the flight, misconnecting passengers' bags, crew time, you name it. But in an overwhelming number of cases, nothing was done. Now, you may also remember the passengers who were told they were banned for life from the airline, right? Each airline announced they had a no-fly list of bad behaving passengers. This goes back to your question, Jason. So what happened to that list? Are you ready? You're not going to believe it. Just 3 months ago in April, American and Delta and some other airlines quietly invited those passengers to come fly with them again if they promised not to do it again. Are you kidding me? We're on the honor system with these people? Now, a majority of the cases initially were because people refused to wear masks, right? They were not obeying the instructions of a flight crew, which, by the way, is a federal offense, right? You're not met at the gate by the local police. You're met at the gate by federal marshals. So that's number one. But now let's get into the specifics of these cases. In an overwhelming number of these cases, alcohol was involved. Who thought? Who knew? We all knew. So where is the deterrent factor of federal rules that require an arrest because you're violating a federal law if justice is not going to be served? And what message are you sending when you're now re-inviting people to come fly with you again who basically caused the diversion of a plane because they were bad people, right? So what problems have we solved here? We still have an alcohol problem. Now, we're not going to put breathalyzers at jetways. We're not going to ask the flight attendants to handcuff everybody. What are we going to do? My solution, I believe, works. You invoke the NFL fourth quarter rule that they do at football games, and you tag it to the time posted on your boarding pass so that no airport retail establishment can serve you alcohol within 45 minutes of the posted time on your boarding pass. Now, I know the retail guys and the concessionaires are not going to like it, but we're dealing with safety here. And we're dealing with safety that's compounded at altitude. So I hope they'll do that. But now, of those 8,000 plus cases, you now know how many actually resulted in prosecution, imprisonment, or fine. Want to hear the figure? Less than 2%. If you had that conviction rate as a prosecutor, you'd lose your job. And the facts are clear. By the way, we have witnesses. It's called cell phone video. Ta-da! Right? I mean, okay, now that answers your question, I hope. Here's one from Richard. Traveling to Kenya in August 2023. What's the best time to buy an airline ticket? Answer, not now. You got to wait. You want to go about 54 to 62 days out on an international flight. And if you're going in August, something tells you you're going to have some competition because that's sort of borderline for the Great Migration. So figure out, remember the Great Migration, those dates kind of move every year, sort of like Ramadan, right? It's Ramadan for the animals. So figure out what it was this year and figure out what they're thinking it's going to be based on the cycle next year. And see if your trip falls right before that, you're going to pay a higher fare, at which point you might want to book it now. But if it's not coinciding with that, wait 54 to 62 days out. Okay. Jamie says, what's the best platform to book flights? I can't answer that. For me, I use the platforms to research, and then I actually pick up the phone and talk to a human being. I've said this before on this show. I'm going to say it again. What you're seeing on your computer screen is not the total inventory that's available. It's what they want to make available to that third-party online travel agent, the website, to be able to make it available to you. When you go online, you say, only 2 available, only 2 seats available, only 2 rooms available. 9 out of 10 times, it's a lie. It's only 2 seats available in the inventory that was given to them as an allotment by the travel provider. You owe it to yourself to make a phone call directly to that provider. Be a good comparison shopper. All right? So I can't answer the flight question, but I can answer the methodology. Okay. Ann says, I am a woman who wants to travel alone. Which is better, Thailand or India? Well, I got to tell you, I love it both for a woman traveling alone. I have no issue, and none of my women friends have ever had an issue traveling to either place alone. However, we have to be more specific as to where in each country you want to go. Do you want to go to Bangkok? Do you want to go to Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai or down south to the islands? Or where are you going in India, right? Are you going to Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, right? Are you going to, Rajasthan? Where are you going? And that may determine my advice to you. So let me know. But on the surface of things, I don't see a problem. Diane says, I want a trip where I can soak in a hot spring. Where is the most impressive hot spring? Wow. In which country? I need more specifics. You want to stay in the United States, or you want to go, to Iceland? Let me know. Okay. And then Henry asks, do I have a recommended hotel in Iceland? Well, here's the thing. I'm assuming you're going to stay in Reykjavik, at least as a hub. A hotel that's there, some people might laugh at me, but they do a great job. It's a very clean hotel. They get their act together. It's the Hilton. But remember, you're only hubbing there and then you're moving out, right? And speaking of hot springs, I just mentioned Iceland in my last answer. A lot of people go to Iceland to go to the Blue Lagoon. It's a little over-touristed for me. If you really want a better experience, go to the Sky Lagoon. You'll see why. Okay? Here we go. Okay. Josephine says, I want to travel abroad, but my budget is low. So how can I find low-cost airfare? Well, you can find it by splitting the trip. For example, get a cheap ticket from, let's say, for the sake of this example, because I don't know where you're flying from, but I'll just say New York. Get a cheap ticket from New York to London, right? There are a number of airlines doing that now, airlines like Norse, the old Norwegian, and then go to your local newsstand that might take foreign newspapers and get the Saturday edition of the Independent, the Telegraph, the Sun, the Observer, the Evening Standard. Look at their travel sections, because you will see low fare ads for low fare carriers that do not advertise in the US. They're particularly aiming at the British market to places all around Europe and the Middle East. So you do 2 trips, one to London or Gatwick, and then one either from Gatwick, Luton, or Stansted out to where you want to go in Europe. So you're buying 2 round trip tickets, okay? And you can't check your bags through. You're going to have to transfer between airports, but that's what I do. All right, let's go back and see who else is weighing in here. Hold on a second. Okay, Tim says my U.S. passport expires September 2023. Apparently, the U.S. Department of State will open online applications for passport renewal. Yeah, in January. What do you think about applying online with the Department of State versus going to a local post office and processing through them? You know what? I'm an old-fashioned guy. I want to talk to somebody. I want to see them take my passport, right? I want to see them give me a receipt. And then I want to know their phone number or where I can call for more information. The online system is brand new. They're just testing it out now. They're going to try to implement it by January. Let me share this with you, and I'm not trying to be cavalier about this, but what's the overriding lesson that you learned in the movie Saving Private Ryan? At least for me. Not a good idea to be in the first wave. I do that especially when somebody's trying a new website or a new online service. Go to the post office or go to a U.S. passport agency in the city where you're living where they might have one. Okay, here we go. I'm going to scroll back up here. Lots of people. All right, Gail says, you were correct in saying airfares are going down. We were supposed to be on a cruise during the holidays, but it was canceled. Oh, so we decided to go to New Orleans after New Year's Eve. Never been. Thanks for the suggestions. Okay, I want a full report from you to see how you survived New Orleans, which, by the way, I love, but not New Year's Eve. Okay. Joyce says, my husband and I are going to Cape Town, that's South Africa, in 2023. What's the best time of year with the best weather and prices to go? Well, remember, it's Southern Hemisphere. You want to go between November and March, and it's great weather. All right. Okay. And by the way, the South African rand still weak against the US dollar. So while the airfares may be expensive, what you're going to pay once you get there for basic goods and services will be a fraction of what you'd be paying here. Okay. Susan says hi from Nairobi. I think Anthony just posted the information for the Explorers Club for everybody. Thank you, Anthony. Okay. A lot of people commenting on Megan's photo. All right. Okay. Liz is saying, I'm heading to Greece in mid-October with my mom for another Go-Hagen cruise around the islands. Liz Leitner, we know Liz. Looking forward to it. Round trip Athens-Atlanta costs the same as round trip Wyoming to Atlanta. Well, there you go. I think that's a good thing. You know what? If you can get that fare out of Wyoming, you go for it. Okay. Here we go. Oh, somebody said, hello from Joliet. Please repeat the best days to fly at Thanksgiving. Here we go. You go take that whole Thanksgiving week off. Go the Thursday or Friday before, not the Saturday before, Thursday or Friday before, and then you come back immediately after Thanksgiving on that Friday. And while everybody else in your family is stuck in their cars at the mall for Black Friday, you fly on an empty plane back home in time to watch as much bad football as you can. And the weekend comes back to you. It's a win-win. Okay. Okay. Gail says, I've been looking for a good travel agent. The one I used to use is retired. I stopped at a few travel offices in my area and asked about a cruise information, and all they did was point to a wall of brochures. Well, that was helpful. No customer service at all. We live in a world of specialization. The days of the mom and pop travel agency that would book your cruise or send your kid to college or you on a business trip, those days are over. We live in a world of specialization. We have travel agents that specialize in cruise travel, barge travel, bicycle travel. I'm sure there's a travel agent out there that specializes in one-armed fugitive travel for those who remember David Jansen, but that's another issue. Bottom line is there are a number of great consortia of travel agencies that do that kind of specialization. One is called Virtuoso. We've actually broadcast numerous times from their annual meetings, both in Las Vegas and elsewhere around the world. The other is Signature. They have websites. Get on them, and they can then refer you to their travel advisors who are specialists in either the region, the type of travel, or the affinity that you might have. Okay? Okay. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going down here. Okay, here we go. Oh, Liz has now said, my mother flew out of the Jackson, Wyoming airport on Tuesday on a new runway. But Delta had to divert the plane to Denver to fuel it because with a full plane, it would be too heavy for the runway to take off after fueling there. There you go. So much for a new runway. You know, we're always building for the past. Have you noticed that? Right? We're still taking our shoes off to get on an airplane because of the guy who tried to light up his shoes back in whatever, right? Are we really preparing for the next terrorist? That's what we should be doing. And if we're building new airports or new runways, we should be building them twice as long, right? Not because it was approved 8 years ago and you finally got the budget, you're already out of date by the time you build it. The FAA has been talking about next generation technology for air traffic control for a generation, and they still haven't implemented it. And if they implemented what they were talking about for a generation, they'd be out of date. Come on, guys. Okay. All right. Mary says there's a new shoe scanner coming out. Actually, I was with the administrator of the TSA when we had our CBS town hall meeting a couple of weeks ago in Washington, D.C. And you're right. There is new technology coming out that the TSA will be implementing and kind of rolling it in the next 6 to 8 months that may, emphasis on the word may, they're testing it, allow you to take your liquids on board, allow you to not have to take your shoes off, right? This is all good as long as it doesn't compromise security. So fingers crossed that it happens. Okay, a couple of other housekeeping notes. Again, Tanzania, the Royal Tour, continuing to air on PBS. Check your local listings. It's also appearing on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus, as is our continuing series, The Travel Detective, also available on public television and Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. And our radio show this week, big surprise, coming from a place most of you don't know, most of you have never been, and some people might say if you blink it, you'll miss it, but you don't have to blink, you're not going to miss it. It's a really cool place, especially if you can pronounce it. So here it goes. Liechtenstein. How'd I do? It's coming from there this Saturday. So check your local listings. If you can't find it on your radio station, that's easy. Go right to our website, petergreenberg.com, hit the radio icon. We stream it live starting about 10:05 Eastern time on Saturday till about 1 p.m. So check that out. And last but not least, we are going to give you a little preview here, a world premiere of our trailer for our upcoming new special on PBS. It's part of our Hidden series. We've done Hidden Turkey. We've done Hidden Poland. We're working on about 5 more. The one we've just completed, and I'll give you the mantra for the hidden shows: no gift shop, no TripAdvisor logo, no tour buses, no brochures, no guidebooks. We're going to show you the destinations and experiences that nobody knows about, but that are accessible to you within that destination. So without further ado, check out the trailer for Hidden Canary Islands. They exist at the threshold of history, on the precipice of a dream. Rising out of the ocean, almost without warning. Endless golden beaches, leading to lush, vibrant rainforests, and then sliding into another world of almost barren terrain. This almost insane combination of topography melds a continent's worth of landscapes, temperatures, culture, and experiences, and it's all within 8 small islands. I came here in search of history, of culture and tradition, unchanged by travel or travelers. These are the islands in the stream, separated from the rest of the world and yet accessible to those who know. And a destination where you can explore, immerse, and literally breathe, if Mother Nature lets you. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Canary Islands. So check your local listings. I hope you get a chance to see it. Once again, not just on PBS, but Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. Before I go, one more shout out to all of our friends in Florida. For those of you watching me now, check our website, petergreenberg.com. We'll have information and resources there for you on where you can help, where you can donate, in many cases where you can volunteer, not as a first responder, but as a second responder in helping them recover from this devastating Force 5. It's called a Category 4. I don't care. It really had the impact of a Category 5. So go to our website, petergreenberg.com. We'll have that information posted later today on how you can help, where you can help, and most importantly, sometimes when you can help. For the rest of you, have a great weekend. We'll see you from Liechtenstein on the radio, and I'll see you next week.